my illustrious sister, the dynamic, powerful, best female preacher on earth.
I feel very, very privileged to have made it to Mavericks on the mic. Thank y'all for having me.
Can I start off by just saying we would like you to just check your brother on a couple of things?
Let's check. Mic check. What made me change from being a girl that was so insecure, that was that couldn't get over the reality that I felt rejected because my daddy left, that got me over the 2 chemicals in my hair, taking all my hair out.
What do you think about when you think that Norman is doing all of this?
The most brilliant person I know.
Things were starting to pop off for Travis, and he had got invited to I think it was a Potter's house, and he called you backstage because he was nervous.
You better pick up that guitar, put that little pick in your hand, and go out there and do the thing you were created for.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Mavericks on the Mic. I'm JJ.
I'm EJ.
I'm Norman, and today we have a very special guest, my favorite guest of all time. We grew up together. I've known her as long as she's been alive. And she is my illustrious sister, the dynamic, powerful, best female preacher on earth.
Hey, guys.
What's up?
Thank y'all for having me. My name is Jackie, and I feel very, very privileged to have made it to Mavericks on the mic. Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, we were talking about
The real
yes, and
basement.
I was like, we have to have your sister.
The real basement.
Non-negotiable.
This is gonna be a good
Oh,
one.
my
great.
God.
This is gonna be great.
Can I start off by just saying we would like you to just check your brother on a couple of things?
Let's check. Mic check.
That face is good. Okay, I hear you
Just
loud
know
and clear.
payday
I'm
was
here.
yesterday.
Was it?
Payday.
I know. I hear
Oh!
you loud and clear now. I'm seeing the eyes.
coming
No,
up.
but I do think, I'm curious, and this is just my own little, you came up with him. You know
did.
him. He's made quite an impact in the world. But you're still little sis praying for him, looking out for him. What do you look at and think about when you think that Norman is doing all of this?
When I think of Norman, the first thing I think about is not probably, the most brilliant person I know. That's first. A lot comes in mind in terms of having seen him go through the maturation of the little boy who laid on the floor, rolled up ham. He was just always very different. To see him do what he's doing is not a shock, because I think the level of brilliance, his ability to go against the grain has always been a thing. But what I will say to this audience and to you all that I don't feel that most people know is we haven't really seen the true impact that he's supposed to make.
Wow.
What do you mean by that?
I feel that he has made a mark as it pertains to music, but if you were... My husband talked about it best. It's almost like you don't know the truth of what could be because you have left so much on the table. He actually is a preacher. He is a prophet, and it's been clear since we were 4. He has the ability to make any group of people follow him because of how strongly he believes what he believes. And I believe that he takes the time to really lean into that and not be afraid of it, not run from the true call. I don't think that what we've seen as it pertains to Maverick City music or any arena will come close to the impact that he'll make in his actual call.
Wow. What do you think about
Not
that?
cose.
I told you this already.
No, but
like
I mean,
hearing it
we
from-
just want to hear it.
I told you I'm not gonna do what we're doing that much longer. I'm supposed to be a pastor. It's for you.
But I want to ask you back, when you say that you're not going to do it much longer, how do you know how much longer you have?
I don't know how much longer I have. I know I'm on borrowed time. I'm on very borrowed time. I think along the way on the journey, I do think JJ became an assignment for me, a direct assignment. I think there were some things that, from just a personality standpoint, there's seasons with people, and I think that all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. I think that I may have branched off into a season that wasn't ordained, but that He's allowed me to really make impact. and that through that it was an ordained season for JJ, and he's using me to kind of chop the weeds, put some infrastructure in order, and then go off and to do what I'm supposed to be doing with the people I'm supposed to be doing it. At the same time, I'm learning leadership skills I didn't have. I'm building relationships I didn't have. I have an understanding for music ministry I wouldn't have otherwise had. I have an understanding for high-level business that I wouldn't have otherwise had. And I think it's caused some difficulties, but I think it's definitely caused some positive that I'll take through life forever. I think that'll make me a better pastor than I otherwise would have been.
What does a Norman Jumphy-led church look like?
Radical, baby. Radical, honest. Outside the box. It's not about four walls. It's about the people. You know what I mean? I'm a non-traditional person in every essence. I have a very unique testimony, one that is currently still being written. You know what I mean? I think my wife will play a huge role in any ministry that I have. Her testimony is wild as they come. I just think we're different. I think everybody says that. I think that I look into ministry and I see a lot of, and this is going to sound like what it sounds like, I see a lot of people God has raised up because I took too long. Mm-hmm. I do. But it's not me.
And so we wrestle with the tension by saying later?
No, we wrestle with the tension by saying I still see fruit in the current season. Mm.
Can you still see fruit in the current season and still pivot because he says so, though?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, so even a Dodge.
But because the connotation, or I would say the implication of what you're saying is as long as fruit is there, I stay.
No, it's not. I've loved fruitful seasons before. I'll do it again.
Okay.
For sure. A good tree can't bear bad fruit. So I'm always going to bear fruit. It may not be the fruit he wants in that season. I might be an apple tree when I need to be a pear tree. You know what I mean? So it's definitely time to move. I feel it. The grace has lifted. For sure. I told you this. You got on my case. You got on my case the last time I said this on the podcast.
Oh, it bothers them.
It bothers JJ. I don't think it bothers
Talk to me about why.
I don't think it bothers me.
It does.
Why do you say that? Because
I think because we're best friends, I never talked to you deeply about that. I think it shocked you the first time I said it.
I think what shocked me was how heavy you carry that burden. Because I hear like you know how many people you meet in this industry, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna start a church. I'm a pastor. But it's like when you talk about it, it's like crippling. It's like this is my calling. Yeah. And so for me, I'm like, well dang.
When you say well dang, you feel like it means the departure.
No, it's not even that. It's just more or less like, wow, that the reality of that is sort of like, this doesn't feel like in the sweet by and by. Like this feels imminent, right? So it's just more or less just like the mentality of being ready for at the drop of a hat to be ready for that. You know what I mean? But no, it's not. I don't feel, man, he can't do that. And it's not like that. I want him to run into all the things God has for him. You know, full stop. So.
But I see it. I feel it. He's put it on their hearts and they don't know it. You know what I'm saying? I sense it. Like
you put it on who heart?
All of the executives.
Okay.
They want to run a company that I don't have to come to work.
I think yes, but I think it's, and we've talked about this, I and the other executives, even that came on in the past year, want to help lift burdens and loads. That was a very, very big thing. I think when Norman approached us, it was, hey, this is what God can do for you and your legacy and your children and your, like, all of that. But for me, I was always interested in knowing this would help him. Like I could bless him. Like I could actually, you know, I can be a part of 1 hour less of him worrying, because I don't think people understand, and I know this episode's not even about this necessarily, but I don't think people fully understand the weight that Norman carries. Like he carries it all day, every day. If it's payroll for the people, it's on him. If it's a tour, it's on him. If it's the music getting out and working, like in the marketplace, it's on him. And he has, you know, for better or worse, carried that weight. And people in Zimbabwe don't realize that they're listening to some of these songs because he stayed up until 3 a.m.
Although that seems heroic, I don't think it's supposed to be that way.
It's not. And I think
that's my burden.
That's right. That's right.
My burden is that we were not created to carry that level of weight.
That's
and when you do, it will crush you. And so how do we shift? How do we get to a position that we find a level of dependency where we still fulfill will, we fulfill call, but we're not doing it in our own might or strength.
That's right.
Because that's where the sweet spot is. That's where the life more abundantly, that's where the life of fulfillment truly is found. Right. And so I think that's why my press for it would be for you or for him would always be around how do I continue to pray or even partner with the Lord for his will to be done in a way that you find dependency, not in my own might and strength to hold it, because it'll crush you.
That's right.
I'm telling you, I told JJ, I think I told JJ the other day, or maybe I told EJ, what I see today, the way we operate today, it's not to say, I think when people think about dependency on God, they think it's like,
you don't have to do no work.
It's you running and you don't get weary.
That's right.
You walk, but you don't faint. You still running, brother.
Yeah, you still
Right,
running.
right.
And your
you
hands are
still walking.
involved.
You know what I'm saying?
For
like
sure.
you just don't
That's
get
good.
weary.
I love that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You just ride. That is the difference. People like a lot of times when I first got into ministry and I first got into doing these things, it was always excuse making around to be complacent and lazy. It's what I saw. It's a lot of I didn't make it in corporate America. No disrespect to nobody in ministry. I didn't make it in corporate America. I'll come. You shouldn't be yelling at me. You shouldn't be putting expectations on me. You shouldn't be no accountability on me. I shouldn't have to work hard. If God gonna make it happen. God gonna make faith without works is dead, man.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And I bring the same excellence, and I believe we should bring the same excellence to God that we bring to everything. Now, in that, when you do have high achieving people, when you do have people that have this standard of excellence or that struggle with perfectionism or that struggle with whatever it is or putting a lot of weight on themselves, they can find themselves doing things for God but not with God.
That's so good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When
So
you
good.
get into the game of doing things for God but not with God, then, that's when you get crushed under the weight.
Because you have pastors the same way.
Yeah, it's less burnout because when you talk about high achieving people, burnout is so far off. Yeah, but like for you to burn out doing music, it will take a lot.
Yeah.
For me to burn out solving problems, it's gonna take a lot of problems. It ain't no base level problem. So I don't burnout is a term for people that are uninspired. It generally is. If you're not inspired by what you're doing, you're gonna burn out.
Well, some people burn out because of doing something too long. I mean, that's
I feel you,
Yeah,
but
I
I
understand
generally attribute it from a leadership standpoint that if one of our people that partner with us and what we do came to me and said, you know what, man, I'm just burnt out with social media. This means I don't want to do socials no more.
Right.
I don't consider that as I'm burnt out.
mean
As
you don't have capacity to do
exactly.
Right. I understand.
I don't consider that burnt out as a person. I'm burnt out with this task.
Right.
Like we were talking about a young lady, she does a specific task in our organization. She's just not inspired to do more. She's really not in her sweet spot.
I was just about to say she's probably not in her actual lane.
She's not in her sweet spot. There are certain things we could do from a nepotism standpoint to alleviate what she's feeling, but it's just not a fit. And so I say these things to say we have to partner with God on what we do, because when you are, I don't want to use the word high achiever. I want to use something that's not like puffing up or prime.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But there are people with like personality types that naturally
Just that motivated,
Yeah.
like motivated.
I know
achieve.
people have connotation to say, well,
Yeah.
what are you trying to say? I'm not trying to give a connotation to it. It's just a personality type, type A, whatever you want to call it. But they have to be very cognizant of who's in charge and not just the result.
And the why.
The why is secondary to me to who's in charge. I used to focus on the why, and you can get the result why you're looking for. So for instance, like man, we about to go there. I was talking to PT, right? And we was talking about tour. And he had came to Atlanta show, and he had shared with me, like, when the show was over, that I didn't thank God. I didn't thank God at all for the show. Like, I said, man, we did it. Like, look, woo-da-woo-da-woo. My why was to fill arenas with people worshiping God. But that was my why. But I didn't care. I didn't ask him, yo, is that what you want? Like, you want, that was my why.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that I'm combating with in terms of the why is when you know who's boss, the why is attached to who's boss. So we're pretty much saying this.
That's what I was saying.
Because your why can't be detached from the boss.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. That if that's why I was saying first and foremost, who's in charge.
That makes sense.
Because you can have a God-led why.
Yes.
You go up to anybody and say, man, my goal is to fill arenas with people worshiping God, getting saved. People get saved night after night after night after night after night.
But the truth of what you're saying is a lie. Because that's generally not the person's why. They might put that as the forefront or the cover, but underneath it's a purpose for why they want to fill the arena.
And I'm not my genuine why.
So, but I'm okay. So when you say that,
why.
and you say that you didn't give God thanks, if it was just so why do you want to fill arenas? Like, what is the purpose?
I wanted people to get saved.
Okay,
but this is the thing.
Okay,
it's like this. You remember the John Piper thing?
I mean,
you remember the one where it was like the people got to heaven, and then he went up to them, and one of them was a pastor, but he was supposed to be an accountant, and one of them was an accountant, he was supposed to be a pastor.
Sure.
Okay, so your why can be genuine, and it can be genuine.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying for me,
still be wrong.
But I'm saying to me, if God is actually Alpha, Omega. He is Adonai, which means he's Lord, which means he calls the shot. My why cannot be detached from what he wants.
No, I think you missed what I'm saying. I'm saying people can have whys that are attached for him, but for him. You can have a why for God that's detached for him.
I don't really understand.
You mean for your own ambition?
No, like for my own ambition.
Yeah.
I can want to fill a church full of people.
Yeah, but that to me still is diverting from who is boss or who is Lord.
I can want to fill a church full of people for him.
But again, so for instance, I'll give you an example. My why specifically is to bring God's glory, right?
Okay.
Meaning I don't get to dictate how I bring him glory. If my desire is to bring him glory, that means I have to do what he's actually desiring, what his instruction is. And that's the only way I fulfill glory. So I can't decide, I just want to go sit in the chair. Like, I'm eating and sleeping or staying.
We're not disagreeing. The reason why I'm on this point
Okay.
is so that people don't think.
Just start feeling like they can make up a why.
Yeah, no. I don't want people to think that because you do things for God and you feel genuine.
Oh, yeah.
Like you feel
that you can still be off.
Yeah, you feel genuine. You feel passionate.
Okay.
You don't feel you have no ulterior motive.
Okay.
You ain't trying to feel important. You ain't trying to, they're just in the wrong profession. Like literally, they're in the wrong profession. Like,
but I would fight back on the reality that they got to the wrong profession somehow. But there was a diversion from him being Adonai.
it could be, but those things don't have to be monumental. It could be a
Sure.
mom. It could be
Sure.
I want to be like my mama.
Yes,
it could be.
exactly.
It could be something.
And to me, that still places an idol above him being Lord.
But
Submission. Yeah, I like what you're saying. Yeah.
yes, the reason why this is good is because this is a rampant problem in church.
For sure.
That's why I'm hitting
For
it so
sure.
hard.
Yeah.
Because there are things we don't see as bad. Like wanting to be like your mama, nobody sees that as something that's an idol before God.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm trying to keep you here is because it's like as people listening, they're thinking that, he want to fill arenas to look important. He want to fill arenas because
But it can be admirable and still be wrong.
He want to fill arenas to make money.
That's good.
People don't need they don't need these super negative connotation motives for your actions to be sinful.
Right. That's right.
It is sinful. Anything
If it's outside of what he wants.
yeah,
Yes, I got
it
you.
don't need to be something like, oh my
Something
God,
grotesque.
like it ain't gotta be.
Outrageous.
It's simple. Saul saying was simple. Hey man, look, bro, I ain't giving up this title.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Make sure
saying?
I look good.
Bro, you gonna make sure I look. He ain't go screw another chick. He ain't go kill his best friend. He ain't do the David thing.
Right.
But David's heart was still for God. That's what I mean. It's like if you compare Saul and David today, we ain't canceling Saul. You know what I'm saying? Nobody. We would be like, ain't nothing wrong with it, bro.
Because David,
So good.
I like
Ain't
the way
nothing wrong with it.
I like
bro.
the way she said it's because David knew who his boss was.
David
Exactly.
knew who his boss was.
Yes.
Saul didn't. But if you look at them through man's eyes,
It looks like
everybody would say David is a no good, dirty dog. He don't deserve to be a pastor. He don't deserve to lead nobody. And they would uplift Saul. They wouldn't even ask Saul to step down. What you mean he need to step down? The man just want to.
He just
And
need a sabbatical.
I'll even add that the another thing to add to this conversation is you can start pure in that. When they called Saul, he was hiding amongst, like he didn't even want to be in the position. He started humble. He didn't start, pompous, and it's all about my name and I got to look good. And so you really do have to be careful season over season, like day by day, to make sure, like, Father, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Like, I am still waking up every day. Like, Father, whether I'm talking, whether I'm on a podcast, whether I'm mothering, I still have to ensure that I am making sure that you are seated on my heart as Lord. And that is lived out in your actions. Like, people can see who's boss. They can.
That's good.
And that's the reason why this is center is because one of the things in our relationship that's keen is that when you look at most people that live a life like how we live life, like a life that's devoted to God, a life that's for Him, like everything you do is ministry based. A lot of people in a lot of churches have a job God doesn't desire them to have.
Wow.
A lot of people in a lot of churches have a lot of people not in church and they're working in the world, making more money than they can count, should be in the church.
Absolutely.
And though that's the issue, it's that some people are working for God for the right reason, but not with Him. And that's difficult to reconcile. That's difficult to see. But they know. They know.
Oh yeah, because
they know.
They know it's a cover.
They know because there's still there's an emptiness. There's still this unfulfilled thing they have. And it's I remember when I was at church, we always be at church and I used to always ask Jackie and them, I was like, why the same people come to the altar every week? Like
That's funny.
every time. Like you don't never feel.
What did she say?
That's a good question.
Like-
I actually, and I'll be honest, that question troubled me for a long time because I really am about true transformation. I think that people do that over and over again because they believe that what's found at the altar can't be found in their own room. That what's found at the altar or in the presence of their pastor, they don't have access to, that he didn't rip the veil from top to bottom to give them access also to come, like literally, not afraid, but literally come before him and get the same thing. One thing that I can say, and it's one of the reasons I kind of given my heart to it, is so many people tell you, like, you're supposed to be a woman of the word. You're supposed to be a man of God. You're supposed to be a woman of fasting. You're supposed to live this life where he's Adonai. And they don't know how. And I do feel called, and it probably is like the educator and teacher in me. You have to show people how. And I don't just do that by what I say. I do it also by how I live. So I've invited women to, like, no, this is how I read the Bible. This is how when I'm upset with my husband, I make a decision to not just throw anything out my mouth. I literally, like, I will go to prayer or I'll just go to the bathroom. I might cry for a moment and just process. I'm telling them stories like that so they have another reference. But if you don't ever show people how, it's hard to hold them accountable for what they're supposed to do.
So many times, though, I feel like, especially within Black Christian church space, historically, you haven't had to do all that in order to lead.
That's true.
You just needed to be charismatic.
That's true.
You know what I mean? You just,
good up
it
there.
was a very low, And then when we saw people who were charismatic and educated or charismatic and compassionate, that's when we said, oh, they're incredible. But it was like, sometimes the barrier to entry was really low. And as long as you could, like, look the part, it was enough. And so then when you had people trying to be equipped, discipled, that wasn't a focus in a lot of those church communities. So you really have not just been teaching these women, but discipling them in the way, right? I mean, it's even down to the books and the conferences and everything. We'll get to that. But you are really walking with women to disciple them in a way that they may not have gotten at otherwise.
Because the truth of what I feel that references back to the altar is it's a form of godliness. If you don't have discipleship at the base, if you don't have a time of living this out, not just Sunday, but Monday through Saturday, you have the form of godliness, but you're denying the power thereof. You're like the very essence of what made me change from being a girl that was so insecure, that was that couldn't get over the reality that I felt rejected because my daddy left. That got me over the 2 chemicals in my hair, taking all my hair out. None of that would have happened without the sanctification process that happened in my Monday through Saturday. It wasn't on a platform. It wasn't at somebody's altar. I got the gift of the Holy Spirit sitting in a small town called Davisboro, Georgia. I asked the question of my mom, how do you receive the gift? She said it was a gift by faith. And I believed and I took him at his word because somebody was willing to say that it wasn't all these things that you heard about. It was a thing by faith that you could release yourself to receive. And I do believe that most of these things that that many people are missing in their public demonstration in terms of character and stuff is because they deny private devotion. They deny getting around a table where there are actually real people living it that can show them like, no, you break the word down like this. This is how you mommy. This is how you parent. All of those things, I do really feel like is missing from the body current day. And I do believe it's what the people of today are crying out for.
Do you feel like there's a, like that we are, I'm trying to think of it, but it's almost like sometimes I feel like as Christians, we are so eager to to consume the stuff. It's almost like junk food or binge eating just so that we can say that we ate it. Like, go to the conference, buy the books, sign up for the thing. And then to your point, form of godliness, you leave that or like looking at a mirror and forgetting what you look like, right? The Bible talks about it's like we do a lot of events and gatherings, but I don't know that everybody understands when you say that, like, open up the word of God, understand what it is and grow from this year to next year,
right?
And be able to say, these are the lessons I learned last year, and this is how I've grown. I don't know that we're focusing on a lot of that.
And I think that they don't focus on it because it is not the thing that is celebrated. So what's celebrated is that you can, shout, or you can be really loud, or you can be very charismatic. You don't see celebrated enough somebody going through the steps of sanctification where it might take process. It might take, year after year. It might take you opening up the word of God, not just to read, but to allow the word to read you, because it is living. Yeah. It is alive. You don't see people talk about it enough. I think the true beauty of what it means to commune and the fellowship, that by by reason of relationship, actually be transformed. Yeah. And I do think more people need to show that side of things. Yeah. But I don't think it's lived often.
This is what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about the lack of faithfulness. Because what you're talking about is like
it does. That's
like
a consistency.
Exactly. Ooh. It's like the root has to take, like the seed has to take root.
Yeah.
But
that takes time.
That's a process, and it's not a public process.
Ooh.
Right.
And so you get that affirmation and that instant gratification. You're right. Yep. And in today's time where it's all about what I can post on TikTok, how much I know, like you might not feel like when you read today that you gained something, right. But you do recognize that every time you come into the presence, because in the beginning was the word was God and the word was with God, that you are encountering a person. That's right. When you read the word, that it is transforming you. It might not feel like, you can run with the Spirit or quote that verse, but if you keep on keeping on, because truthfully, that is my true process. It wasn't a whole lot of, and I love that you always reference, like we weren't the churchgoers that, knew the A flat and all that. We didn't grow up that way. We didn't. I learned God by way of real relationship. That was all my mama talked about. That was all that was ever really purported. She was never really about the religious stuff. She didn't go that way. And I could understand even why he says when he has a church, it will be outside of the box. That's all we've ever lived. We've never lived the confines of, you go up there, you do your little two-step, and it produced nothing. Mm-hmm. To me, it has to be fruit bearing. And it produced nothing. But that's what's so, both of y'all know the word. Mm-hmm. You can quote it. You have intimate relationship with Jesus. It is unique, probably peculiar that you all would have developed that back then outside of the context of a church structure. So I was in the church, but it wasn't like, and I tell Travis all the time, my husband, he was drugged to church. He was a drug baby. Like every time the doors open, like we were not like that. We were not there 7 days a week. We grew up Baptist, first of all. We went second and fourth Sunday. But what I can tell you, twice a month. And when I got older, like when I got 15 or 16, when I could drive, I started going to a non-denominational church. But what I can say we did have was the presence of the Lord was in our house, which church is not like the essence of church is not the building. Yeah. It is a people that are actually called to a person that actually lives a lifestyle. Right. I can say we always had that. I'm gonna shout my mom out. The thing that our mom had that I always think back to, and if I can give my children anything, I want to give them what my mama gave me. It wasn't, the thing she gave us from the very beginning was our faith. Very true. The very, very beginning. And
when Travis gave the example, we didn't have like life struggles. You know what I'm saying? Like we could talk about, you could dilly-dally and nitpick, but when I say life struggles, like people wasn't dying. No, nobody was getting sick. Nobody was getting in car. My mama had one car accident our whole twice our whole life. That most traumatic thing happened in our upbringing. No, I'm not saying
outside
that.
our dad leaving, because I think that impacted us.
I get it. I'm saying like when you talk about
In your
life,
daily life, you weren't.
People done been. I'm trying to really be like people done been through some stuff.
That's right.
Sure.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Like, we had everything we wanted. All the clothes we wanted. We had cars at 16. You name it. You know what I'm saying? But the thing she rooted in us was two things. It was three things. Faith in God. She wasn't going to die. Y'all take that how y'all want to take that. My mama going to be translated. My mama going to be translated, and I still believe it. My mama going to be translated.
She said she going to be caught up in there.
She going to be Enoch.
She going to be caught up in the
My
air.
mama said she going to be Enoch. She's going to be Enoch. And if you don't believe it, I got faith.
You believe it.
I believe it. I've always believed
She's
it.
like, I'm not dying. I'm going to be translated.
I'm going to be translated. That's how I didn't even know what that is. I didn't even know that Enoch
People could be translated.
I didn't even know
you
Enoch was
repeating
translated.
that as an adult. I am weak.
Yeah, but see, you lose that kid like Faith. I did.
Hey.
And the last one, and the most important one, we didn't say negative things.
Oh,
you didn't say
think about your confession.
boy.
Really?
We ain't never sick. We won't say nothing
She
negative.
You
would
couldn't say I'm
it-
sick.
No,
So like
boy.
I would say I got a headache. She's like, saying you have a headache is not gonna make your headache go away. Like you don't have to confess that. Don't confessing
confess
it.
that.
Stop confessing it.
Don't
But it
confess
did
that.
really help.
It took root in our
It
life.
did.
We ain't say no negative stuff, bro.
About ourselves.
We won't say no negative. Bro,
That
your leg
explains
broke,
a
my leg
lot.
don't hurt.
Yeah,
My leg ain't broke.
But y'all have, both of you, this faith gift. Like y'all
Very true.
really do say it, and it's not like that. You know, some people try to say they have faith by hyping themselves up. Like if I say it enough, I hope I believe it. You actually believe it, and that's and then the other people. When we talk about this, other people believe it. Well, they say it like that. So
My pastor, he says that I have the gift of believability.
yes,
For sure.
Like, because I believe it so much,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say something I don't believe in. I think you're the same way. We are not going to fake it. If I don't believe it, I would be quiet before I would say something.
Yeah.
I can't
you
say.
said yeah.
No, I sent him a clip the other day, and it was, I think it was a service for PT. You wrote a song, you got him in front of the church, and you sang it. I sent it to him, and I said, "This tells me everything I need to know about y'all."
Whoa.
It's like, because I was thinking, I was like, of all the things that could have stopped you from doing that, like, have you ever written a song before? Have you ever sang it?
gave him the word.
But I'm just saying, it's like the faith, the belief, the confidence is like, that is over y'all's life. Like, I remember when Norman first started coming around, it was like, guys, we can do it. Yeah. And then would just write out the list. Boom. All right, let's go for it. Let's do it. And so I echo that. Like, there is a extreme gift of faith on you guys' life. Like, and I love it. The no negative. So my mom was like that too. Like, do not come around me talking any kind of negative. I love that.
Yeah.
I want to ask you something, I guess, publicly, because I don't know the answer truthfully from your perspective. With the gift of faith, it has been one of my areas of greatest testing in terms of my actual belief in self privately. I don't believe many people would believe how much I have struggled with my own belief in that I could do it. So although I would get up and sing this song, like I'm not afraid when I get up there, but the questions I have internally about, am I good enough, or those struggles, do you have that too?
My attack different. I get why. That's your attack. It's from my dad, right?
Okay.
So
that we didn't have him to affirm that.
the lack of affirmation from a father from you makes a woman question different things than it makes a son question.
Okay. Wow.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? But me,
Talk about that more.
Oh, for me, it makes me question my manhood.
Okay.
So I do things to prove and exacerbate who I am as a man.
Got it.
That's why I trace after money or too many women or different things like that. Is because my struggle is in, am I ever really a man? Because a man never affirmed me as a man.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Women. Mine, it was always, or my continual question is like, am I good enough? Like, is it enough?
Yeah.
Like, is it okay? And although when I'm doing it, it's generally not like, when I'm up, it's not like, oh, this, I'm not in my head, but when I'm down, I'm in my head.
See,
and that was why permission was birthed. Like, I go in rooms asking like permission, and I'm like, I've already been given permission. What am I doing? It doesn't make sense. And so that conundrum has always been like a thorn. I hate it. And it's weird because I do have the gift of faith and believability, but it is a continuum
because
of a battle.
Father is that.
He gives the affirmation of identity. For sure.
Certified of identity. And so from a man's standpoint, a woman's admiration is good enough for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mama telling me, baby, and that's all my mama ever did. You good, Norman. You can do whatever you want. So to me, you ain't nothing I can't do. You know what I'm saying? But my mama can't affirm it. My mama can't tell me I can beat you up, JJ. My mama told me not to fight. She told me to run in, go home. And so I was a punk growing up. Like, you could bully me.
Is that a punk? I mean, seriously.
I know what you mean.
I just want.
Come on,
it is
man.
a punk. The video man said yes.
Like, that's why I had a slick mouth. But you know who has a slick mouth as a woman generally. Like, I could talk junk, but I couldn't fight growing up because. So those are the trade-offs. Like, I wasn't like, you know what I mean? That's my struggle. It was always like I was a punk kind of. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't about to really do nothing. But I'm gonna let you know. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna out talk me.
That makes sense.
That's it. So that's what that's my thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Dr. Jackie, you referenced the permission piece, and I do want to talk about the book. And the conference, and just like talk a little bit about this permission thing, because I feel like it is yoke breaking for the women that get it, right? And I think even as you're saying, like, it's a journey and it's a process, and you got to go back to it over and over again. Like,
yes,
what did you begin to unpack about this idea of permission? And by the way, I know it's not just for women, but like, how did that play out in terms of like, now I'm going to say this to these people and equip them?
It has been and is the story of my life. It is this continuum of making a decision day over day that who I've already been created to be is enough. At the basis of it, that is, I don't want to walk in rooms asking people, is it okay to laugh this loud? Is it okay to be smart? Is it okay to look like this? If I was fashioned and formed in the image and likeness of the Father to be like him, He's the greatest thing ever. And I want to allow that to exude from who I am. And to me, the definition of permission is being precisely, not kind of what God said, but precisely.
Wow.
And fully, because I do believe that sometimes, even in precision, we'll know like, no, that's exactly, he said, go left. But we're like, yeah, okay, I'll go left, but I'm going to go right sometimes. So I want the precision and the fullness of who he called me to be.
Not dragging your feet.
Not dragging my feet. And I want to own the foot. I don't want to leave anything on the table. Meaning, even though I've known to be great and an avid student, what if I'm also have the ability to sing a song to my husband? What if it is not my dominant hand that he wants to play up so that I'll have another level of dependency? I want us to, as a people, not just women, to explore that there's so much treasure that he's placed on the inside of us that so many times we shy away from because of fear, trauma, comfort. And comfort is one of the hardest ones because we get so used to, EJ is the lawyer. Like, how dare him try to be a marketing guy? What if God wants both?
Yeah.
What if he wants the duplicity of those two things merging to show up and bring about something that if you didn't have the lawyer lean, that it would not show up in that space. And to me, when you own the fullness of who he created you to be, all of that is displayed. Yeah. And it's not displayed in one day. It is a process over time. So you don't get a permission certificate. It's one of those things that you have to live out throughout life. Continue to go back. Daddy, what did you say? What do you want now? How am I leaning now? What season is this? What am I putting down? What am I picking up? What am I prioritizing? It is a life, truthfully, on a potter's wheel, living in his face over and over again to allow him to bring out the fullness of all he poured.
Wow.
And that's what I want to invite women into, because I don't even think that they know it exists.
It's almost like you have taken to put it in current terms. You've taken sanctification and placed a UI, and that's a user interface on top of it to give it language that can relate to the everyday woman. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Right. You know what I mean? It's like now the everyday woman, like we talk about sanctification, and sanctification is
so religious.
It's such a heavy word. Yeah. And then when you take sanctification, you put the permission UI on it. Now, okay, I get it. You know, I'm on a journey I'm on this journey and I'm seeking more and more permission from him.
Yep.
More and more
Yep.
permission from him. More and more permission from
And
him.
truthfully, something that I found, and I write about it in the book, is I found so many people who don't live that process of going after permission, where they know how to act less than, where they can dummy themselves down. They know how to fit the box. They know how to stay in the confines. And I know people who know how to act more than. So I'll act pompous. I'll act outside of, like, that ain't even really who you are, bro. Like, chill. But you very seldomly find people that just as I am. And I want a world of people recognizing that just as I am is enough. I want to invite people to, like, no,
get it.
just as I am. That's enough.
But that is so, and we talked, just kind of before we were taping and everything about this idea of code switching.
Yeah.
Right. And you almost do it because you don't know that you don't have permission, but also sometimes you actually you can't afford to demonstrate that permission because the stakes are too high, or other people are depending on you to maintain a thing. And there's that external factor, right, behind the code switch that says, that's the wild card. You don't know how that person's going to act. And Norm said, I don't do that no more. And I think that that's a place of, I won't even say privilege, that's a place of arriving, that I think everybody could stand to get to, where you finally decide, I'm going to show up and I'm going to be completely me. I had a thing where I was wrestling a couple years ago, with really turning down the dial and dimming the light, because I didn't like the way that it made other people feel when I was like full blast. And I knew that they got, insecure, or they thought that I was being away and trying to be it. So I was just like, you know what? Instead of going to 10, I'm going to just be at 7. I'm going to sit at 7.
Been there.
And God checked me and was like, don't you dare walk into that meeting and go at 7. When you could go at 10 and change all of that.
It's an insult.
It's an insult. It's
to your
poor
maker.
stewardship.
It's an insult.
And so I'm still walking through that and journeying,
Same.
to your point of permission, journeying through that, because I'm a recovering people pleaser. I really I'm gonna do 7 so everybody's happy. I would rather everybody be happy and I suffer than for me to not suffer and live fully.
And think about this. They could have been happy with you at 7, but changed with you at 10.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. Changed with you at 10.
And you got
I was
it.
going to say, there's just sometimes when you are living in your own freedom, you wake people up to the reality that they're not free.
Absolutely do.
I think that's the beauty of. I think the most beautiful thing of me and JJ's relationship is that right there. Is when I met him, and with all due respect, I love you. You know, I just speaking the truth. I met him. He was the shell of himself. I would look at him like, bro, you're one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. You're one of the most confident, nicest. Like, you're one of the great, if not the greatest music man I've ever met.
Wow.
But under the wrong conditions, in the wrong soil, the best tree can't bear fruit. Right. And I ain't saying I was the greatest soil ever, but I think I was a soil necessary for him to come out of that shell. If you in the wrong soil, when you meet a past resistance, it's easy to revert.
That's right.
But in the right hands, that resistance can be cultivated to keep you going on in that process. Like when y'all talking about like being who you are as you am, it's like I went to a meeting at EJ them building. All the little people in there thought I was some country. And they was acting like that. And I think even JJ told me after me, man, you could tone it down. I said, I ain't toning nothing down. What's wrong with you? They can be uncomfortable.
No, you know what you said? I love it. You said to me, you said, look, if I, at the beginning, act not like myself, then for the rest of this relationship, I can't be me.
Mama used to always say, start how you want to finish.
How you want to finish.
Always.
There you go.
It's a very real thing.
It is.
Because and in my life, what I've realized, and I've experienced this in a former church situation, I've experienced this in a former employment situation, when the rubber meets the road and my blackness has to, because of current events or because I'm getting pulled over by the cops unreasonably, like whatever my actual black experience is in America, and I say it to people who I've never had to say it to, they're put off because I didn't know you were one of them, and I'm like, I'm black. Newsflash! And so what I started realizing is like, I'm so sorry, I'm black. Like you're gonna get it, you know. But the reality is, you turn all that stuff down to make sure that other people feel comfortable with you, but you're not comfortable.
Yeah.
And what happens is they get an inauthentic reality of who you are. They don't even see the fullness of it.
That's right.
You are.
That's right.
And so I love it's like, man, if this is gonna work, you just have to be uncomfortable. Because we'll know if it's not gonna work at the beginning, we'll decide not to do it. But man, if we can be our full selves and bring our full selves,
We all gonna grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're all
man,
gonna
we do so many deals now. People got these for whatever reason. You know, me and Jay were talking yesterday. People have these various opinions of your little brother, your little big brother, because they don't really know me. I've informed a lot of relationships in music still. You know, maybe 20 people have my phone number. You know what I mean? And have met me in person. We talking
Even less.
Even less. Definitely held a meaningful conversation. So they hear the rumor mill or whatever. So we prospectively doing a deal. How do I know I'm not gonna do that? I don't know I'm gonna do this. And JJ has now, because he's not like that. But he has not just accept like, man, either they gonna do the business with me or they ain't. I'm not about to be sitting around keep trying to convince y'all who he is, who he ain't. Like, look, bro, if you can't tell by now that this boy gonna keep it going, then you can't tell. And the reason why this is important about being who you are and coming as you are, because once people actually interact with me, or once people actually get in the situation, we generally build a lifelong bond.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, he just is who he is. It just is what it is. And there's moments.
But I'm gonna be devil's advocate in that I do believe that sometimes when you are not living in the fullness of your permission, you throw people off to make them believe something about you that's not true.
Of course, I do that too.
And I think you should stop.
Yeah, I
don't feel like you do that.
No, I don't do it as much as she might think.
Okay.
I don't do it as much.
Okay.
I don't do that no more. I don't piss people off just to piss them off no more.
I have noticed that.
I don't. I don't do that.
Okay.
I ain't mean just to be mean. Okay. I would rather somebody, because now I take more pride in someone coming away feeling well taken care of, well kept, and then that's the words they leave with from us. Then someone feel like, oh, that boy Norm, so he's such a shark. He's such a. I used to take pride in that stuff. That stuff ain't worth for him.
Well, I apologize for holding you.
No, listen, keep going because it's a process of permission, right?
That stuff ain't worth for hella beans. And that's
right.
That's the stuff I get. That's the great. And people ask, why would I bring in all of these executives? You know what I'm saying? And why would you bring in people who have opposing views to you? It's because I always wanted to understand how people with other personalities had success. And then I know my good traits and I know my weaknesses. And it's to see.
It's humility.
For sure. I don't need yes men. You can desire them. Everybody wants adoration. Everybody wants admiration in moments, but it also becomes an echo chamber.
Yep.
And you never get to hear. And that's what I believe it happens in a lot of ministries is that a pastor has an echo chamber and he doesn't have people that challenge his opinion.
Engage.
And that comes through, something that's really quoted by a lot of you church consultants, which is, what is it? Something is division. Two visions is division, something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's not another vision, it's an opinion. And I think that in a lot of places, in a lot of ministries, what would be helpful is it's not about honor isn't blind.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And honor isn't blind. It doesn't not talk. Right. It doesn't not have an opinion. It doesn't not add value. Every honor is adding value.
Right.
It's coming as your full self.
Sure.
It's coming as you are, bringing all you have to the table, because pastors are pastors. They aren't also CEOs, CFOs, architects, the greatest genius this side of,
all of the gifts are needed.
All of the gifts are needed.
I mean, he literally says we come together as one body. You missing the pinky, you're going to feel it.
You're going to feel it. You missing your thumb, you're going to be really in trouble.
And you don't know that sometimes.
You do not know that
because
sometimes.
You're just the head, and sometimes you can get so fixated on being the head. No, you need all of the members. All of the members.
You also have another book, Remaining is Love, which, I don't know how you find time. So I'm going to come back to the book in a second, actually, because I do want to ask about the time.
Okay.
You co-pastor the church, Forward City. Mm-hmm. You are a devoted wife, an incredible mom, a friend of the friends, a podcaster with it. Like, how? Like, and was this because, by the way, you were doing dentistry.
I was.
So what are we doing here?
So my husband loves to call me the youngest retired dentist that he knows. So I stopped doing dentistry Judah is 5. So about 5 years ago, because I was pregnant with him. So maybe 6. I literally believe in whatever assignment God has for me. And, lots of people, especially in the professional world where you cross every T and dot every I, like, what do you mean you go to school for 8 years and you just walk away from something? I truthfully don't feel like I walked away from something. I feel like I walked into something else, carrying all that I gained from that, right? I believe it'll be the same for this as it pertains to you walking into pastoring. So it's not lost. It'll just be utilized in a different way, because the reason why I became a dentist was because I like to educate. I don't care if it's teaching somebody how to play spades. I'm going to teach them babies them ABCs. I'm going to teach somebody something. So the education arm or lean of me shows up in every place that I go. Whether it's, we're going to break down Genesis. All of who I am is always showing people how. And so it can show up in different facets and forms. How I find time is living a life of devotion. And that's all Remaining His Love is. It's a Devo book of literally different things out of my journal. I'm currently, every single day, I ask the Lord this because I used to have such a hard time with being faithful, being consistent. I was the girl that watched all the movies, or you would hear the girls in church like, I write in my journal. I was like, I ain't grow up like that. I don't go lay across my bed and write in a journal. Like that wasn't my thing. Like I wanted to, but it wasn't true to who I was. And so I prayed and I was like, God, I just want to be faithful. Like I want to be consistent in like pursuing you. It wasn't for anything other than Him. I just wanted His presence consistently. I started, it was in 2020, specifically around this whole idea of remain, where God started telling me to get up at 5 a.m. It was sometimes very hard. And I would do little tricks like, okay, if I feel real tired, if I put my feet on the floor, like Jackie, you can't lay back down. Like you sit up for 5 seconds. Like, I don't know. And then I would run and I was like, as soon as you brush your teeth and wash your face, you'll be fine. And it was a hard habit to start creating. But what it produced is it's a life of abundance, which means when I'm getting in the presence of the Lord just for myself, I'm pouring over the word like, Lord, I don't just want to read this to read it. I wanted to read me. You show me these principles. I'm just writing down stuff for myself. And what it turned into was a book. I literally, in this book in the very beginning, I teach people how to do it. So it's these 4 W's. We wait, we write, we worship, and then we read the word. And that's all it takes to have devotional time with Him, where you're gaining something over and over again. You wait, you write, you worship, and you read the word. And it's no particular order. It's not rules. It's relationship. Like if you think about when you get on the phone with somebody, if you want to build a relationship, you're going to have to see them. You got to write them. You got to talk about what's going on, ask questions. That's how you build intimacy. From that, the Lord was like, yeah, you need to make a Devo book, because too many people don't know how to live a life of remaining. John 15 is my text because it came out of like, how do I stay connected to the vine? Not come in and come out. I was the girl, truthfully. I would go to the prayer meetings and you'd had this like, oh my God, they're like, she's so powerful, have these high moments, but I didn't consistently see in my lifestyle. And that wasn't enough for me.
Wow.
It wasn't enough for me to seem like the powerful girl, because I do have a demonstrative presentation, but I wanted a demonstrative life.
Wow.
I wasn't satisfied. I wanted to bear fruit, and much fruit, and fruit that will last. And you don't do that apart from connecting with Him daily. Like that can't come from me over and over again. He produces that fruit that will last. And so I had to learn how to stay consistent. You have to receive His love first. And it goes through 3 parts in the Devo book. You receive His love. It's the Amazon package, show up at your house. And I do believe that so many people have left God's love and His intimacy sitting on the porch. The Amazon box, it showed up. They didn't receive it. It's literally sitting out there getting rained on, and they're walking outside the house. They're literally passing it by, going to look for the thing that they would find if they would just receive it. After you receive it, you open the box, you embrace what's in it. What I found inside of it is I don't have to be perfect. I won't get it all right. And when I was a sinner, you know what He did? He still went and died for me. So whether I got it right or got it wrong, His consistent love for me didn't change. So I embraced that reality that, man, I ain't gonna get it right sometimes and I'm still loved. Okay. So that means like, yeah, okay, I'm not a dentist. So what? I don't have the 396, and it's not all about all these things that the world said. Like, it wasn't so much about what I could do. I say this all the time because I really believe it, because I lived it so long. Clowns perform. Daughters actually just rest with Him.
Wow.
Like, so many people have settled for a life of like being in the circus, like they trying to do all these tricks for God. And he's like, I take you just as you are. Embrace that, but you don't embrace it until you receive it. And then it's just a life of remaining after that. When I recognized that I couldn't do it in my own strength, I couldn't get it right enough, I couldn't get it wrong enough, I could just be in his presence and it be enough. It was the most freeing thing I had ever experienced. You talking about a girl that went from summa cum laude, queen of every school, you know, all of the things.
Yeah.
To be able to put that down and recognize that I'm still good enough. You don't know freedom until you taste it, and I wouldn't go back.
Your revelation of God is always the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Whoa.
I don't know. I met a ton of people in this Christendom. I don't know many people that talk about God from the essence that you talk about him from. You know, people joke about the daddy God thing. It's not a joke to me because my sister actually, it's real to her. So it's like God is so alive and present and omniscient to you. Omniscient to you. It's like it's like you've seen him before.
And I feel like, and I don't mean that because I'm not a spooky one. Like, you know, some people are, some people
Right.
get, but not figuratively, because I can remember, and this is truthful, like, it's not as if some people that do this have never experienced the world. I've experienced the world. I've been out there. I had a drop top. I wore my weave. Like, I've had all of this success and, you know, been all the things. It was empty. It did not ever heal the brokenness that I had. It didn't keep me out of the bed that weren't mine. It was when I gave up on the dude who cheated on me. And I remember I was in college. I was in a dorm room. I had washed my sheet. I was sitting on a mattress. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember what it felt like when he walked in the room, when I had walked away from him. I willfully chose to do the wrong thing. And his love, it wasn't just that he loved me. It was that he still loved me. That when I didn't want him, I wanted to make sure that this dude knew that I was ride or die and I'm here. And he's like, and I'll be here when you get back. That I'll still be right there. I never recovered it. I couldn't understand that it was a love out there like that. Every other thing that I had tried was such a counterfeit that like the dude couldn't come close. I found a real thing, and it's like, it is life transforming. And I love to speak about it because I know people that knew me before I knew him like that. So they know I'm not faking. I remember it was hazel contacts and, you know, baby fat. Like, was it baby fat?
Yeah, baby fat.
Like,
Then I
went to the club. I remember in our little small town, like that DJ gonna give me the shout out. I remember all of that stuff.
Oh yeah, me and Jackie grew up. That's the thing most people don't get.
I did it all young. And
Now, that's
what I'm
the thing most people don't
referencing for
get.
you,
I was doing the math in my head.
what I'm
like, how
referencing
was
for
you
you,
even-
I was like,
No, we didn't grow up with, like,
16
restrictions
with
like
all
that.
of this. Like, I mean, I done had all the stuff, went to all the places, and by the time I got to college, I remember 18 was my turning point. I was just like, yeah, man, I'm taking these contacts out. I'm taking this weave out. I'm gonna figure out something to do with my hair. Like, I'm over it. It didn't produce nothing.
I remember when my sister changed. I was in
He
college.
thought I was crazy.
What did
He
you- what did
literally
you
thought
think?
I was crazy.
Bro, I thought she was out of her mind. We didn't grow up like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? We grew up like how you would think young, wealthy African Americans in the country would be. You know what I mean? We had everything. We called ourselves regal. Like, we
Stupid
thought we
stuff.
was the junk. You know, can't nobody mess with us. We were materialistic, young African American affluent kids. Right? That's the girl I left. Right? I left my rich sister in the country. We super smart. We definitely going to college and we leaving y'all down here. And we're gonna come back and stun on y'all. That was that is who I left.
To
Jackie
establish
G
our
on her
reign.
tag. I had a candy orange Chevy. I left my stunting sister. I came back to what y'all would know now as Priscilla Schreier. I think back then it was Juanita Bynum. And I don't know who these people is back then. But then I came home to this, girl, what you got going on? And she calling me on the phone. in her closet. I'm just praying for you, Norman. I call my mom, I'm like, Mama, Jackie done joined the cult. I don't know what this Holy Spirit thing she on my phone talking about. She's praying for me. I'm lost. Mama, how I'm lost? Where I'm at?
The thing that I will tell you, I mean, I don't know if you've ever experienced this though. Even in the middle of all of that, I can still remember being at Aunt Janet's church in Sandersville. Like what I would say, the seeds or the genesis of the girl that I became was always in me.
Yeah, of course.
I was 4. I can remember singing in the choir when we were in Atlanta before we got to Sandersville, and I used to stand up and testify. Like it was
was
God can
always
hit.
in
It
you.
was
Yeah.
always
I
there.
was
always
I actually
in you.
had to depart the truth of who I was
Yeah.
to become cool and to be a part of the things. It was the rejection that I felt. I didn't want to be rejected anymore. I had to please all the people. It was more of a fakeness than it was like,
Absolutely.
oh, I want to do this stuff, and I just returned back to who I really was from the beginning.
She did it really fast, and
I
that's
was just sick of
that's
it.
the beauty in her journey. It's like, yeah, when we was young, like they ordained me to preach when I was 4, and
Literally.
I gave a sermon to adults. I remember
did.
in a living room on Genesis 5th chapter about why people live longer then and we don't live as long now. I remember it like it was yesterday. Serious, this is serious business. Serious business. Ask my mom if you think about it.
I believe it. I just want to hear the message.
But the point that I'm making is that it's to show the journey. 2 people can grow up in the same house.
Yeah.
Same parents, same experiences, same access, and their journeys be different. And it's not due to it's nothing. My mom would have done anything for her. She would have done anything for me. You know what I mean? It's just my journey took a great deal longer. And I do believe Jack and my mom, when I left, they got an opportunity to create a bond that I'm not gonna say they didn't have when I was in the house, but
They are
she
very
got a
close.
dedicated devotion to having. But she was the only child, and when I was the only child, my mom spoiled me. I was a little boy. I was her first child, and my dad was mean to me. That's just how we gonna say it. Hey, we got his daughter. He was nicer. And Jackie got her mom along in those formative years, 15, 16. So, you know, I think I left when I'm 2 years old. So 16, 17, 18. I went to college then. And at 16, 17, 18, for me, I wanted to be what every 16-year-old rambunctious boy that's been growing up spoiled wanted to be. I wanted what I wanted, and I wanted to
And
be.
I started having those, it was like, I would say little aha moments. I can remember standing in church and I was looking around at all the other people and I was like, I want to stand up and worship. Nobody does that. And I remember like literally like counting myself down like 3, 2, 1, stand up. Like not kidding. I was like, I got to stop just doing what everybody else do. Like it was starting to, I was having them breakout moments. Like I'm sick of being like everybody else. I'm sick of faking. And still through college, I was always the designated driver, always the mama, always like, yo, we don't have to live. Like it was always these progressive thoughts of like, why do we do this? So it was just the genesis, I think, of the pastoral part of me. Like, no, we can live different. We don't have to do this.
And it's because she's a leader. And that's the thing. It's like when, you know, before I started going to Forward City, and once I came into Forward City, I was still Norman. And what I mean was like, I'm not following the trend. I'm Norman. I'm bringing my full brilliance, all of my ideas. PT, these are the things I think would do right. Do you need a camera? Like we need to get our socials up. We need to, like I'm following the blueprint of what we would call the world and applying it to this. But it's not the blueprint of the world. It's a blueprint of excellence.
That's it.
And a lot of time we conflate that.
Yep.
We conflate in the body saying we're supposed to be separate from the world. And what the light has to do with dark. We're not supposed to be separate from excellence. And there's some things that are just simply excellent.
Absolutely.
About in the world that we have departed from because we don't want to look like it. He put it here for it to be excellent.
And it should start at the church.
It should start. The best run corporations in the world should be churches.
For sure.
The brightest minds in the world should be in the body because that's how he designated it.
Yeah.
That's how he designed it. You know, you think it's a coincidence the only non-taxable entity
Right.
in the United States is a nonprofit or church? It's already created at an advantage. That's his earmark. Hey guys, I did it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, you have an unfair advantage. We always have an unfair advantage. But because of whatever reason, because of over-indexing either side,
Yeah,
we lose sight and access to that excellence. And that's one of the things that I believe that because of how we grew up and because of how we were able to see entrepreneurship and access, we're able to not shun business because it doesn't make us uncomfortable.
Right.
And it doesn't take away from the faith. It doesn't take away from the spiritual edge. It doesn't take away from any of, if anything, it adds to it.
It strengthens it.
It strengthens it. It gives it
because you become a greater steward.
veracity.
And stewardship is the hallmark of Christianity. Like
That's right.
it's so embedded. He expects us to be good managers of what he sent us here for. Like manage your life well. What were you sent to the earth to do? And when we don't do that well, we're producing a terrible return.
That's right.
That's all business.
Absolutely. Trust me.
It's biblical.
Absolutely.
So I should say it's a hallmark of being
biblical.
Yeah.
We ask all our guests this question: what is your Maverick moment?
I would say 2017. I didn't give y'all this backstory, but I was 4. I am African American. My mom decided that she needed to tame my tight curls. It wasn't, 4C, on it back then. And so she put 2 chemicals in my hair and it caused me to lose my hair. I had bald spots and patches in my hair. And so all of my life I grew up with the damage of always feeling like not just that something was wrong with my hair, but something was wrong with me. I mean, I can remember being taken in back rooms in the hairdresser. It was just always this hide, you're not good enough kind of thing. And in 2017, I took the weave out and cut my hair for the first time. It was to me a public line in the sand for the enemy that I was no longer going to live in hiding, no longer live based on the label of that trauma. And I feel like it set me on a path of, I'm out here now. And I'm no longer going to live ashamed. And all of this private stuff that I've been working through as it pertains to sanctification and the Lord healing insecurities, I'm going to live it out loud.
There's a moment that Norman told me about when I think things were starting to pop off for Travis, and he had got invited to I think it was a Potter's house, and he called you backstage because he was nervous. And what did you tell him?
I was like, "What? You better pick up that guitar, put that little pick in your hand, and go out there and do the thing you were created for." Because at the end of the day, kind of similar to what he said, the wife is present to affirm, I'm a help me. I am set to whatever Travis is created to do, be alongside it. And whether that's just my words affirming, like, you got this. I recognize that, and I don't see that as a small call, because I do believe that when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing and obtains favor, that a part of my presence, it created and attracted everything that was supposed to come toward our life. So my ability to say, Travis, you got this, no matter if it's 8,000 pastors and leaders or whoever it is for that matter, what God has placed in you, it's ready. He wouldn't have opened the door if you weren't ready for
You're
it.
giving him permission.
Absolutely.
Wow, I love it.
Good tag. I love that.
That's good.
Anything you got coming up we should know about? Ladies should look out for? Fellas should look out for?
We currently are, I got a word as it pertains to permission. I have a permission app, which is where all of the ladies of permission live. It's like 1,500 of the ladies inside of the app now. All of these women have made a decision, like, I don't have to live according to the world's way. I'm going to go after the fullness of who God created me to be. We took a regional approach, and so we are in South Carolina, North Carolina, New York, New Jersey, Philly, Georgia, DMV. And so you can literally join the app, and we really are doing that whole thing of, like, I don't want you just to come to conference and then go back to your regular life and not have a place or a way to actually sustain this life of freedom. So we are doing pop-ups monthly. They have times to be able to get on call, ask me questions and stuff like that. It's really just discipleship at its best, and kind of living out the Acts model of making actual regions where people can actually come together and continue to live, where they have women locking arms with them. So I would really love for any woman looking to be able to live that life of permission to join.
Any new books, tours?
Well, Travis and I actually have a book that we have to get done that's coming up. I actually canceled conference for this particular year, so it'll come back in 26.
Wow.
Oh, you want to dig? I like it. Okay, so at the end of 2024, there was a lot of major transitions in our organization, not just with the church, but as it pertains to our businesses, DRJG, Green Light. We went through a lot. I would say the toll that it took on me as a person, it was, I think, God wanted me to take a pause to not, this is the season that I feel like I'm in currently. I know very, very well, and I think I'm a specialist at showing up for the world. He wanted me to add me to the equation. And I could have done conference. I know how to push through. I know how to do that. I don't think that you see public figures or biblical leaders take the time enough to obey the Lord, that when he says pause or be still or he makes me lie down in green pastures, I don't think that we see my kind of people do that enough. And I didn't want to, just for the sake of like, we do conference every year, do conference. I only do conference because God tells me to do conference. And in this particular season, after living through all of that, I really felt like this was a season where he really needed me to take some time to like, no, let's dig into some of that pain. Let's dig into some of the lessons that you could learn to not have to live some of those things again. And so I obeyed him.
So earlier in that process, what would you say would be the most valuable lesson you've learned?
Ooh. Okay. That there are times that somebody cannot mean it bad to you, but it can be bad for you.
There are times somebody can not mean it bad to you.
So their motive might not have been bad, but it still ended up bad for you. I have a gift of empathy, and I can always understand why somebody did something. I can understand why you didn't show up. I can understand why. Okay, I can see why they did that. I can always put the foot or the shoe on the other foot. Like, I can always do that. What I generally do when I do that, because of the gift of empathy, is I will not embrace the reality that it still hurt me. Okay, I understand, but it doesn't take away the reality that it's like, I can understand why I got punched in the face. Well, although I can understand it, should I keep getting punched in the face? And I do feel like in some ways I was still being punched in the face by relationships that I had to learn that they might not have meant it bad, but it was bad for me. And I had to learn the boundary of saying, that's not good for me.
Wow. Wow. Whoa. Mavericks on the mic. Well, we just finished the episode of Mavericks on the mic with my illustrious, beautiful sister, Dr. Jackie Jumphy Greene. This is an episode you don't want to miss. It's more of a joint episode about me and her. I didn't know it was going to go that route, but I do believe you'll learn a lot about each of us personally, our upbringing. Shout out Sandersville, Georgia. It birthed two of God's most dynamic warriors, I'll say. You don't want to miss this episode. Tune in to the next episode of Mavericks on the Mic. Signing off.